So we got a big one this week, guys. We got a store that has video cassettes that open into another dimension, murder mimes, a father who becomes a father, but also a killer. And it's a pretty wild ride, guys, so you aren't gonna wanna miss this one. So let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing my weekly watch list, which has been quite successful, it seems, with you guys, and I really appreciate that this is something that you guys are vibing with because I really like doing these. I get to watch new movies, you get to find out about new movies, we get to talk about movies that we both like. So it works out for me. So you might want to grab a pen when you watch this to pick out some ones that you will watch next. And I'll put links down below for you to pick up a copy for yourself on anything that is physical media. And if it's not, I'll tell you where to find it. Also, I wanted to say happy holidays to you and everyone that you love, whether you spend it with someone or not. I hope you have a wonderful end of the year with me and celebrate what we've joined and done together this year, what we've watched together, because it's meant a lot to me. And I hope that in some small way, I've helped you to enjoy your year. Without further ado, let's get into the weekly watch list. All right, so first up, we got The Last Video Store. This is an Arrow movie that I think was at one of the festivals I went to this year that I did not get to see. This is one that I missed. I remember wanting to see it, and there was a couple of video store ones this year, actually, surprisingly. This one came out in 2023. It is now available on VOD and Blu-ray, so if you want to watch it, you can rent it or buy it on digital. But many of us, myself included, like to collect these things, and Resolution sent me out a copy of this for me to check out. So what is this movie all about? Well, it's about a young girl who is unknowingly in possession of a bunch of tapes to return for her father to the last video store. The last video store ever. We ain't talking Blockbuster here, folks. No. I'm talking about the real video stores. And I mean salt of the earth, dark, dingy, knowledgeable, underground.
Like the Dark Lords wanted.
But seriously, she takes her father's tapes, and when she returns those tapes to that video store, one of them is the cursed Videonomicon. And like all great horror movies, they do things they're not supposed to do, like play it. And it opens up another dimension where characters from the VHS realm come out of the TV to battle them. And if that doesn't interest you, I mean, I think we've all, fans of movies, wondered what it would be like to face some of the creatures and monsters and wonderful things that we get to see on the screen. So this is kind of like a movie that's playing on that. Directors on this, Cody Kennedy and Tim Rutherford, actually did a short called M is for Magnetic Tape for the ABCs of Death 2.5, which I happened to watch. There was a short in there with one of the lead actors in this movie, Kevin Martin. One's a male guy, one's the store owner, and they happenstance run into a monster that is from another dimension made of tapes. And it's pretty fun, and it's actually included on this. But they did that, and they also did straight to video, the B-movie Odyssey, which has a lot of similarities and a lot of the same stars. Again, we're working with a lot of people. A lot of them are all entangled in, friendships with these guys and the Astron 6 guys. But it's based off a real video store that still exists today called The Lobby in Edmonton, Canada. Shout out to my friends out there. And it's run by one of the main stars, Kevin Martin, who is going to be coming on the show actually here to sit down and talk with me because I was so into this movie. Now, it's not going to be for everybody. I do wonder if there's going to be a section of people that just never got to experience going to a video store, hanging out with the owner, talking shop about horror and every movie that there was. This is that boiled down into condensed form of an hour and 30 minutes for you to, actually an hour and 20 minutes, I think, for you to enjoy and re-experience or experience for the first time. They even have a character, the girl in the movie, who's kind of a newbie. She doesn't know this stuff. She doesn't even know what a VHS tape is. She's just returning the tapes. So they're trying to like blend in the new generation with this, and it was a lot of fun. The creatures and people that are in it, you can kind of get an idea There's like an action star on the front named Viper. There's a creature on the bottom there on the left. And then a Jason-like guy who is the Beaver Lake Massacre in this. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie, and I really enjoyed it. The special effects are really good in the movie too, and they do a lot of practical effects too, which is awesome. But there's just a lot of like in-jokes that I don't feel like exclude anybody. Like this movie feels very like it wants to keep the video store alive. And I think we all do when we collect. We just want to keep that video store alive. But yeah, I would give this one like a 7.5, maybe even an 8. It really hit me in the feels. So might be a good one for you too. And if you're one of us, join us because, and if you're not, join us because it's a wonderful place. Up next, we got Terrifier 3. Yes, this is a new movie that's out for rent or on Blu-ray 4K or whatever. Back for the third and maybe final. They said they're going to continue on. They'd be stupid not to, obviously, but this is the third one for now. My quick thoughts on it. I've not been a fan of the first movie. I came around a little bit more on the second movie, and then this one really stepped up its game. It is not as violent, I think, as the second one, but the acting is more tolerable than the second one, which I found very atrocious, and a lot of the stuff that was happening in it very obligatory. But to be honest with you, this one goes pretty crazy in the very beginning of the movie, and I was just cheering it on. Like, I was like, yes, yes, all right, this is fucking bizarre. Yes, let's do that. And it's really violent too. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as like some of the worst movies I've ever seen, but definitely more than mainstream typically. Director Damien Leone and writer, I think, has stepped up his game in the writing department a bit, but still kept the goods in all the like right places where it counts. Although I was kind of a little bored with some of the speaky parts. I just wanted Art to go around and murder people, and he really does give you a lot of that, but I think he is getting much better at the slower parts and the more of the nuanced parts, you know, but there is some tropes in here that you would expect. But it is a hell of a ride. I would probably say this is like a 7.5, if not an 8 out of 10 for me. It's definitely up there this year. I didn't absolutely lose my mind over it, but I am definitely in a much bigger place than I was after part 2. Up next, we have Fudo, which you can actually get on 4K now. 4K. This just got sent to me by Resolution, and I was like, holy shit, they have a 4K of Fudo, the new generation? This is a Takashi Miike film, which, as you know, has done Audition, Ichi the Killer, Gozu, a ton of other films that I absolutely love. He tends to do a lot more like crime-oriented ones, not necessarily horror, but there's so much gore and graphic stuff in it. It really appeals to a lot of horror fans. And this is one of those films that's gonna go pretty bizarre pretty quick. And a lot of splatter, sloppagetti style blood everywhere. Plus some pretty heavy nudity and weird shit going on in this movie, let me tell you. They've called him the Quentin Tarantino of Japan, and there's a reason, because a lot of the characters are very comic book feeling in a lot of ways. But this one is essentially about a young son who watches his older brother get killed by his father because of some sort of gang dispute or business problem that he has to kill his son for the mistake happening. And it's like an old sort of Yakuza method where you take out the kid for being bad as a way to show honor. And the little kid sees this younger kid, Fudo, and he sees it and he is not too happy about it. So 10 years after that moment happens and they took the life of his brother, he puts a gang together to take down his own father and the people that his father was trying to be a part of. And some of the characters in his gang are way different. There is literal children in this movie. There's a girl who's in high school. All of them are in high school except for the little kids. A girl who's a stripper who blows darts out of... Yeah, down there, we'll definitely go for a little bit more weirder and sexually charged. But yeah, he basically teams up with all these guys. There's one big dude who's like this like herker beast. He's like bigger than everybody, like by like 2 times. And he just smashes everybody like Hulk. And like he has to battle his own father and, you know, get him back for everything that he did. And it's pretty cool, man. It's a very comic book styled gangster crime drama. that is really bloody, very bizarre, and super adult. But I really enjoy it. I would give it maybe even a 7.5 or an 8 on this one as well. And you can pick it up on 4K, obviously, Blu-ray, DVD. I'll put a link down below for the 4K and you can figure it out the rest. But yeah, you can't watch this online, so get your wallets out. Up next, we got Listen Carefully, which was a screener that was given to me and is now available on Tubi and Rent. Just came out this year, and it's actually kind of a decent film. It's not perfect, it has some issues, and it's super indie, but I think you might like it if you're into different movies, because this has a different plot than I've seen in a lot of other films. So the story is essentially about this guy who just got a new promotion as a vice president of a major bank, and he is now in charge of a lot of things. And he is just now become a father, got a new baby at home, which is causing him no sleep, and he's having those normal, am I gonna be a good father kind of thoughts. And they seem to get a little overwhelming, more so because he's doing some things behind the bank's back that they don't really know about. One night when he's tasked with watching the baby so his wife can go out for a party or hang out at a bar, the baby disappears and a voice comes over the baby monitor telling him to give him money from every ATM in town and he'll get his baby back. Now keep in mind, this guy's kind of a pushover, so he's not the typical kind of guy that you would see in a film like this. He's put into some situations where he starts dreaming about killing people because he wants to save his baby. Now there's a message in there somewhere, I'm not 100% sure of it, but essentially I think it's mostly about what it's like to want to be a father, because there's these moments in the film while he's going through the tasks of trying to get his child back that he's having these sort of fever dreams, ones that he was having before it was all occurring anyway, like daydreaming about these babies chasing him. And so there's these weird intercuts with like fever dreamish kind of things going on while this sort of thrilling story is going on, asking him to do things that the monitor tells him to do. And then it only gets worse and crazier as the mother is coming home from her bar and he's got to do it all in one night. So there's a little bit of tension in it, but you know, the acting wasn't as strong to really kind of pull it off 100%, but I still appreciate the concept and sort of the idea of it on an indie scale, because they did a lot with very little. And it is an interesting story. I think it's one of the better ones that this director has done. So, and while the acting isn't completely stellar and isn't pulled off 100%, the main guy who plays the main father kind of reminds me of a Pat Healy a little bit, if you've ever seen any of his movies. So he has this kind of down on his luck, kind of badass appeal to him in a way. It's there, but it's also kind of like a different vibe. I would say this movie is about a 6 out of 10. And the reason I put it on this list is because there's something about it that just stuck with me, that I kind of liked the journey, the process, and things in it that I thought deserved a little bit of a spotlight on it. But it's out for rent and on Tubi if you want to check it out for yourself. It's not a bad watch. I personally enjoyed it a lot more than what I've seen on like IMDb and other places. I think people are being a little too critical on a very small budget film. So up next and last on our watch list for this week is number 5, Heretic, which, what the hell? This movie is pretty awesome. Like, I was not expecting this. I heard good things. I knew that people liked it, but I really wasn't sure how it was going to affect me. This is a movie that stars Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, and Chloe East. Those are the main stars. The two girls, they're basically like Mormon missionaries, and they're out trying to spread the good Mormon word, and they're out there trying to get people to join their Mormon faith. They go in to talk to this guy played by Hugh Grant, who is an older gentleman who says that his wife is in the house cooking pie at the moment and she is indisposed and cannot come out. But the girls say they can't enter a home unless the wife is present, part of their Mormon faith, and he lures them in anyway, telling them that she will be out. And things start to get a little bit more weird and a little more suspect as time goes on. The girls start noticing and feeling uncomfortable, and suddenly they're in this situation that will take you for a lot of surprises. They start talking about theologies, different types of religions, and this guy is sort of apparently shopping for a new one. And when you find out what happens with this story, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this is some wild stuff. It's balancing belief and disbelief in a sarcastic, negative way, but also a positive way. So it isn't really picking a side, and it's making the viewer guess which lane they're in by their own theology, by their own existence, and by their own thoughts. You are also not sure if this guy's a nice guy or a bad guy, or if they're in a dangerous situation. It goes a lot of places really quick, and it's super heady, kind of packaged in a sort of I'm stuck in this house scenario with somebody I don't fully trust. So it's got a lot of components going on in this movie that really kind of make it out to be a really strong psychological horror thriller, but it all just sort of mashes together in this genre mashing, genre bending story. It really does go some places that I don't really see in a lot of movies, even though it has done them in other ways, not like this. A24 has made a lot of strides recently to do a lot of different stuff. They did Everything Everywhere All at Once and other movies. It used to be just art house films. This is an art house film, but it is also very much a mainstream film on top of it. And Hugh Grant's performance in this and the girls' performances are fantastic. The writing in this is fan-fucking-tastic. Like, this movie is really unique, very different than I've ever seen. And I think if you are religious or not, you will be interested in this movie. And I don't know how you'll feel by the end of it, but you need to watch it to find out. And the best part is this is from Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who did Haunt, which I loved, was one of my favorite movies the year that came out. But this is so much deeper than Haunt was. And I remember when I did my Haunt review, I said, I wonder if they could work with a deeper plot, and because this is such a straightforward kind of paint by numbers kind of story with like a twist. And this one goes so much further. If you weren't a fan of Haunt because it was too simple, because this one's way deeper than the other one, and it's definitely going for a different vibe altogether. It's a little difficult to tell you everything I want to say right now, because it's one of those movies that you're going to want to share with your friends and see what they think about it and what happens in the movie. This gets really dark and really different than I thought it was going. I thought it was going to be a typical movie, and it is so not. Well worth the watch, I think, in my opinion. Probably give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely one of the better movies I've seen this year. But you'll have to tune in by the end of the year to see where it places. Top 20 coming soon. But that's it, guys. That's everything I have for this week's watch list. Obviously, I've watched a lot more than just these 5, but I try to keep it down to a little bit, keep it nice, neat, organized, and a quicker video than it's been turning out. It will be different in the future. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with the watch list and other lists. I have a bunch of lists up for this week that you should check out. These 5 are a really good mix for just about everyone to find at least one that they love. I try to cater to you guys and try to pick them out, and I'll be doing themes with these in the future, but I just want to say happy holidays. Let's all hope that this year is amazing. Thank you guys so much for all the support on these videos. Please share it with somebody that you know so that they can find great movies and we can all talk about them in the future. So thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.